You've called for a robust and decisive action to tackle inflation. Does robust and decisive, does that mean 75 basis points in October?
Well, I think that the actions so far and the decisions taken by the Council have been robust and decisive already. And now looking at the inflation level as we have it now, and also the outlook going forward, I think that calls for another significant hike also going forward. I think it's early to say how much will it be exactly in terms of basis points. I think we have had two significant hikes already, and probably something in the same ballpark would be called for if we're looking at the outlook as of now.
Okay, good morning, Madis. So you're kind of guiding towards that direction, but refusing to confirm explicitly 75 basis points is on your kind of voting card. But let me ask you a question. Where is the neutral rate for the ECB? Where do you think it is?
Well, that's a good question. Everyone knows it's, well, there are different models. It's not directly observable. I think it's too early to say where exactly will we end up with our hikes, how high the policy rate should go. I think it's also clear for now that we are below the neutral rate. Well, most probably it's somewhere around 2%, but I accept that there are different views and different ways to try to pinpoint the exact number.
Okay, Madis, so you've referenced 2% there, and as you say, there's a range. I'm pretty sure that 2% is at the low end of most people's range. As you say, the benchmark's still way below the neutral rate, and yet you say there's been robust and decisive action taken to tackle inflation. So by any measure of economics that I've studied, we still have accommodative policy in the ECB. How does that square with decisive and robust action being taken?
Well, I agree with you that we still have accommodative policy, and that is exactly why we should move further. If you look at the size of the two interest rate increases that we have decided already, I think by any measure these are significant steps. Of course, you cannot hike all the way to the neutral rate or above that in one step. So I think it has been sort of a reasonable path that we have chosen, but just because what you said and the fact that we are just we're still clearly below the neutral interest rate for the euro area, clearly below the point where monetary policy would really start pulling down the economy or having a sort of also a direct impact on the inflation outlook. So I think that just shows that we need to go further than that.
Need to go further. I mean, we've just seen regional German inflation coming in a way, Madis, that surprised the markets, double digits, and we're seeing some risk-off moves in markets as a result, as if the market doesn't want to see this level of inflation print. Is there an argument that the ECB should just be moving more quickly here? Maybe the ECB should be talking about QT. When do you think that QT conversation should start?
Well, I think we have had a reasonable sort of sequencing of decisions. First of all, stopping additional purchases of securities. Now at a relatively quick pace, also trying to normalize interest rates. And I think soon enough we should have a discussion also when it comes to, for example, reinvestments in the policy portfolio, and whether we should gradually allow for the monetary policy portfolio to be reduced in size. So I think that's something that's still ahead of us, and I think we probably will have those discussions at the Council pretty soon in the near future.
Madis, how concerned are you about euro depreciation in the context that it's obviously making the inflation problem even worse for the Eurozone overall?
Well, it is the exchange rate. It is a problem exactly to the extent that it has an impact on inflation. As you well know, we are not targeting directly any particular exchange rate, but it's true that this enters the calculations when people are trying to come up with the views on the inflation outlook, But then at the same time, we know that the effect is not immediate. It will take some time for the impact of the exchange rate changes to feed through to prices. So I think you could say it's not the primary issue that we are focusing on, but of course it's one of the sort of metrics that we are looking at.
Madis, I want to reference, war in Ukraine clearly is something that in Estonia you must think about a lot, not all that geographically far away, Russia just over the border. We've heard from the Prime Minister of Estonia recently warning about blackouts and the risks to the electricity system in Estonia, the risks that we could see blackouts over the winter. How bad do you fear things could get for Estonia over this winter?
For Estonia, of course, there's a risk when it comes to perhaps even blackouts, but I think that's really still a remote possibility. What we are seeing, of course, is that the electricity prices have spiked. This is also part of the reason. A large part of the reason why we are having now the highest inflation in the euro area at 20+%. We're looking at close to 20% for the year as a whole. So clearly everything around the energy markets, it's a big challenge for Europe as a whole, also for Estonia. But I don't think we really need to be that concerned about blackouts. It's more about the price issue and the problems that creates to households with the purchasing power going down, and also for companies when it comes to competitiveness.